Welcome back to Primo Times. Today we're moving into what I think is probably the next biggest step that we're going to take with the ambulance, and that is getting the control panel installed. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I tried to get to it earlier in the last several days or so, but the pain level was up very high. And there really wasn't much I could do about that. I do apologize for taking the time, but now we're here. I think everything's good to go. So let's scoot in and I'll explain to you a couple of tricks that we need to use when we're installing this control panel. So come on in. So you remember just the last episode, Rick helped me and we installed a circulation fan right here to help ventilate the power cabinet, the chargers, all the equipment back here, etc. The main thing is when I'm driving the DC to DC charger, it gets very warm and it needed to breathe a little better back there. So my original plan was to cut a hole on the face of the control panel itself to allow the air to circulate. But I came up with a better idea, I think. You know, sometimes these ideas arrive up here, and then when they come out into the project, they may not be such a good idea. But if this idea doesn't work, that's okay. I can change it a little bit later on if needed. But here's the idea. I'll show you. My plan is the other control panel was installed directly face on to this header material. And it was snug fit, and that's fine because there were two wet lead acid batteries down on the lower part of the cabinet, which is what the box used. I'm using lithium now. But here's my idea, is when I put the screws in to hold the control panel to the wall, basically, I'm going to use two. I don't want to lose focus. I don't know the focal range of this camera, but it's pretty bad. These sports cameras don't like to get too close. So there you go. You can see two black washers. I'll use those between the control panel and the wall of the ambulance. And then that white washer will dress it up just a bit on the outside. So those two black washers behind each screw to mount this to the wall will hold it back away from the wall just enough that the addition of that around the entire circumference of the control panel will allow the air to come out around the edges. How's that? No big hole, complete aluminum finish with no ugliness to it, except for on this side where I'm sitting. But I think this is going to work. It's going to be a little tricky getting them in to start with, but then after that I think it'll be fine. So we can do that. And I think I have everything here. I have all the screws. I have all the black washers. Let's get a go. Let's start this up. All right. Let's give this a go. So I know that comes off, so let's take that off. With the shortest screw on the planet. There we are. Okay. All right. Now this is going to be a little tricky. let's do the first one with these rubber spacers. So the white washer is on. Here's two rubber ones going on after I put the screw in. There we go. Rubber washer, 1, 2. I can see how this is going to get tricky. All right, now, unfortunately, yeah, all I have is here we go. Okay, good. Let's run that in just a bit. That looks amazing. I'm really liking the diamond plate or tread plate aluminum. It's starting to look pretty good. Another day, another shirt, as you can tell. That's how I should run my calendar, as colors of shirts. At any rate, I had to skip a few days. Again, the pain level would not come down enough for me to get things going. As you can see, I have the Renogy battery monitor working, and when you see it pulsing like that, that is the Renogy monitor indicating that it's charging, and we're connected right now to shore power. So the Renogy inverter is turned on right here, and that means we have power coming through the AC sockets, all three of them. I was charging up some batteries a moment ago. I've labeled some of the switches here already in hopes of getting things done. But what we're going to do today is scoot over to the business side of this panel and start doing a little bit of the wiring. It's going to be a bit time consuming to get going. Once we're on the go, I think though it'll come pretty quickly. So yeah, let's pop over to the other side. Here we are on the business side. I have cleaned up things a little bit. I've put in these cables to the battery monitor and the inverter switch. I've made those, I'm sure those are tidied and not moving a lot. They're data cables. I don't want them to be moving around a whole lot. We want those to stay intact. I've tidied up these cables just a bit here, but now we can start cutting away some of these and start using what we need from this. Again, the ambulance has a lot of existing cables, and I plan on reusing as much of those as I can. Starting with the ground, that's what we're going to be working today. is putting negative circuit to all of the switches. That won't power the lights or any fans that those are switching. What that negative will do is give a complete circuit so that when the switch is activated, the indicator light, the LED, will show on the switch. That's all this first little job is for. And then later I'll do the heavier duty negative cables to the two 12-volt sockets, and of course the power outlets for the 5-volt chargers. So let's get a go, and I'll put you somewhere, and I'll start running these negative cables. This collection of wires for now, you know, I think they'll be unused. However, they all do properly run down, and I believe 2 of them run to the front behind the driver's seat. So like I say, the ambulance has so much wiring that's already done that I want to save this. So I'm going to bundle this up neatly and just pack it right here behind the switch panel, and it can stay here for years and years. It doesn't matter. I can use them whenever I want. It's up to me. And all right, so what I've done, it's a piece of art, I tell you. So this will come out of the main bus. Then it goes into the 4 bottom switches, all daisy chained. And then there's a little bit extra which comes up to the top row of all the switches, daisy chained. And at the end, I've left a WAGO connector, so I can add any low voltage ground circuits into there. Any high voltage ground circuits I'll bring into this much heavier gauge ground wire. Things like a fan or the power sockets at the bottom here for the 12 volt DC. So I'm going to plug all this in and see how this fits. I don't want to push these out of their things either. So first one. Okay, first one's in. Yeah, these are going to be tough. Trying to push and hold them at the same time. If I could see what I was doing, that would be much more interesting. Okay, there's that one. Now. All right. All done. And then this negative will go into here. And I need to positively adhere this down to keep it stable. So let's do that. So what do we have so far? So far, I have tidied up these wires, which still come down to the ace tech box, and there are still some that terminate over here somewhere. We can find those later, and we could reuse those for pretty much anything we want. Then I did bring a spare set of wires over to right here, and I've safely butted off and terminated, I guess is the best way to say it, the negative and positive, and they're secured here, so they're out of the way. This wire is for the cooling fan down below, which we will be hooking up to a switch at a later date. All I need to do is cut this, or at least the positive, run it through the switch. Bob's your uncle. Here we have what I could use as a heavy duty or higher amperage positive input, and then my negative with a bus bar here, so we can use a lot more negatives if we want. And also, if you can see, I don't know if it's too hard to see, but all of the switches now have their negative connections, and I'm going to connect up this negative to any other negative source that we need up here, maybe even this light. So I'm very happy to have the control panel at the point where I have it now. I'm feeling much more positive about connecting things further, and I think it looks amazing from the inside. Thank you, folks. I love you very much. We'll see you next time on Primo Times. Without you, I'm almost a nobody. Actually, if you ask most people, I am a nobody. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.